What's up, YouTube friends? Today I'm going to show you how to make this quilted laptop sleeve or book sleeve. You could also make this larger to even fit a laptop if you wanted to. So the things you're going to need to make this is some fabric. So I got these little bundles at Walmart. I think this one was about $5 and some change, and the solid color was $3 and some change. You're also going to need a zipper. I got this at Walmart also. It's a 14-inch zipper. For this size, you just need 12 inches or longer. And you're also going to need some batting. So the first thing I did was cut 2 pieces of lining fabric, and that measures 10 inches by 12 inches. I also cut 2 of my outside fabric. This also measures 10 inches by 12 inches. And today I'll be using cotton batting. You could also use polyester or the blend. And this is 11 by 13 inches. So I'm just going to put the lining fabric and my zipper off to one side for just a minute. And I'm going to grab my outside fabric and my batting. And then I'm just going to line it right up on top here, and we're going to quilt this. So I just laid so that the right side is facing up. Now you can quilt this any way that you want. This will be an excellent project if you're practicing free motion quilting. But I'm just going to keep it really simple and then just do some vertical lines. So I'm going to come about every 1.5 inches with my friction pin and make a mark. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other piece. And now I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to quilt directly on these lines. There's really no need to backstitch at the beginning and the end because we're going to trim all this off later. So you could put some pins in here if you wanted to, but especially with this cotton batting, the fabric sticks nicely. Today I'll be using a straight stitch, and my length is a 2.5. I'm going to start off on the batting and then just sew directly on my lines. So next I'm just going to trim this back down to 10 by 12. So next you just want to grab your zipper and one of your outside pieces. I'm going to lay my zipper so that the pull tab is facing down. I'm then going to take one of my lining fabrics and I'm going to line it up right on top. And then just put some pins or clips. Then we're just going to take this over to our sewing machine, and with our zipper foot, we're just going to sew back stitching at the beginning and the end right along our top. I went ahead and I switched out my regular foot for a zipper foot. And I'm going to back stitch here in the beginning. And I'm just lining up my fabric with this part of my zipper foot. So now we just want to open this up, give everything a nice finger press. You really don't want to press it with your iron. This is a nylon zipper, so it could melt. So now I'm just going to take this back over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from my fabric top, back stitching at the beginning and the end. So this time I'm just going to run my zipper right here along my zipper foot. And backstitch at the beginning and the end. So next I'm going to take my other piece of my outside fabric. I'm going to line it up along the top of the other part of the zipper. Then I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing with my lining piece. And then just throw some clips. So now we're just going to take this back over to our sewing machine. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to stitch right along the top, open it up, finger press it, and then top stitch. So now we just need to enclose our little sleeve here. So I'm going to take my two outside fabric pieces and I'm going to line them up together. And then just throw some pins or clips. Before we do our lining pieces, you want to open up your zipper and make sure that it's somewhere in between your little sleeve here. It probably was easier to do before I clipped the front. There. And now we're just going to do the same thing with our lining fabric, but we're going to leave about a 4 to 6 inch opening at the bottom. So it should look like this. I have a 4-inch opening here at the bottom. And then I like to fold it so that my zippers, the raw edge of my zipper tape is facing towards the lining fabric. And then stick a clip. So now I'm just going to take this back over to my sewing machine. I'm going to start right here at this pin on my lining with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew all the way around, back stitching when I get to my final pin. So I'm just going to take off my zipper foot and then put my regular foot back on. Then I'm going to back stitch and just keep sewing. When I get about a 1/4 inch away, I'm going to stop with my needle down, raise my presser foot and spin, and keep on going. So I'm coming up to my final pin and you just want to backstitch. So then I'm just going to clip my little dog ears off my corners just to reduce some of the bulk. So I just like to find my zipper and open it up all the way. Then I just go down to one of the corners and carefully pull it all through. And with my bone folder or a chopstick, just make sure that everything is laying nice and smooth. And then for our little opening, I'm just gonna kind of tuck my fingers in there and give it a pull. Everything should line up nice and even. And then I'm gonna stick a pin or a clip. And now I'm just gonna take this back over to my sewing machine, and I'm gonna top stitch with an 1/8 inch seam allowance all across this bottom. If you don't want to see that little stitch mark, you can always hand sew that closed. So I'm just going to move my needle over to the right. I'm going to backstitch and then just sew all the way along the bottom. And of course you can use matching thread if this bothers you. So now I'm just going to tuck it back into my bag. And this project is finished. It's that fast and that easy. So I have one of them Amazon Fire tablets here. I got it a long time ago. It's time for an upgrade, but it fits in here just nicely. But what I'm going to use mine for is my reading material. This is what I'm reading right now. And I thought this would be great to keep my books safe while I'm traveling. You know, if you throw them in your bag or your luggage, the corners get dog-eared, your pages kind of get messed up. So this is a perfect way to keep it nice and safe. And this is also great if you're taking it to the beach and to keep it nice and protected. Maybe not so much from the moisture, but from the sand. So I hope you enjoyed this project. It was really fast and easy. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to whip up another one just so I have 2 of them. If you like this video and want to see more of my videos, go down below and hit that big red subscribe button. Give this video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment if you have any questions or concerns. And as always, thanks for watching. Happy sewing, and I'll see you next time.